10 years ago, I went inpatient at a psychiatric hospital for depression and being a danger to myself. When I think back to that time in my life, I remember the things going on that seemed impossible to overcome. Family, education, romantic relationships, and my future were all falling apart for me at the same time. It felt like I was walking through a tunnel with complete darkness all around me, alone. The only company that I had were my racing thoughts, telling me, "You're not good enough. Nobody loves you. You shouldn't be here anymore. In fact, it would be better if you were never born." My room, what had started as a sanctuary, slowly became a prison of self-isolation and mental torture, worse than anything I could inflict upon myself physically. Desperate to stop feeling this way, I sought help. I went to therapy. I started taking medication. I called hotlines. I did everything I could possibly think of to escape the thoughts constantly chasing after me. With each failed attempt at trying to get better, I began to convince myself that the loneliness and the pain was going to be there forever. I refused to look at myself in the mirror, but when I accidentally caught a glimpse, I saw eyes that had no life in them, no soul, and no hope for the future. If there had been a fire in my heart, the embers were slowly starting to fade away. I sat down in the tunnel, ready for the end, waiting for the darkness to consume me. But in a final effort, the hardest decision of my life was made: to go inpatient. That meant 24/7 surveillance, talking to kids my age going through the same thing, and no contact with the outside world. I can truly say that this experience saved my life. When I went inpatient, I saw the suffering and the pain of other people my age for the first time. I realized I wasn't alone in this tunnel, that there were other people there that I hadn't found yet. I knew after that experience that I wanted to be an example of someone who could go from the darkest depths of the soul to a place of love and hope. 10 years later, to the exact day, I find myself in the same spot I decided I wanted my life to be different. I knew changing the things in my life that I wanted to change wasn't going to happen overnight, but putting one foot in front of the other, getting up after getting knocked down, and wanting to be an example for someone who might feel the same way that I did was my motivation to keep going. A new fire was ignited within me, and the tunnel that was dark before now showed everyone that loved and cared for me. If I could go back and tell my younger self one thing, it would be this: you have no clue about everything you're about to experience and what life has in store for you. You're going to meet people you can never imagine your life without, go to places that will make you see the world differently, eat food you would never have tried, and experience what falling in love truly feels like. You will experience highs higher than anything you have felt before, and suffer loss that will break your heart. But the thing to remember is that this is all part of a beautiful thing called life. There's no way to truly know what happiness feels like without going through the pain and everything you feel now. Asking for help is never a sign of weakness, and in many ways, it's an act of bravery and courage. We're not meant to go through life alone, and what you're going through now is not permanent. The only permanent thing is deciding not to be here anymore, and I'm proud of you for everything that you are. In the movie It's a Wonderful Life, a guardian angel named Clarence visits a man named George Bailey on Christmas Eve, who's ready to take his life. After showing him what the world would be like if he was never born, George is finally able to see what his absence would mean to those he loves. Strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives, and when he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he? I can never imagine what would have happened in the last 10 years of my life, and I'm certain I won't be able to imagine the next 10. I do know, after reflecting, in nearly a decade since being hospitalized, that love and relationships are what make life special. The day I left inpatient also just so happened to be my birthday. And so, as I release this on the 10-year anniversary of the birthday that changed my life, I only ask you for one gift. That is to reach out to the people that you love and tell them how much they mean to you while they're still here. You never know what personal battles people are fighting, and we could all use a little more kindness and a little more love to remind them, whatever they're going through, they never have to do it alone.